Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have NioBay Metals. They trade on the TSXV under the symbol NBY and on the OTCQB under the symbol NBYCF. And they aim to become a leader in the development of mines with low carbon consumption and responsible water and wildlife management practices while prioritizing the environment, social responsibility, good governance, and the inclusion of all stakeholders. Happy to welcome investor relations consultant Ludovick Bernier-Michaud. Welcome, Ludovick. Welcome to the conference today.
Thank you, Anna.
All right, the floor is yours, and call me back when you're ready for some questions.
Great. Thanks again. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm pleased to introduce NioBay Metals, a Canadian critical minerals company focused on niobium, tantalum, and titanium projects across Quebec and Ontario. Before we begin, as most of you know, I do need to note that my presentation will include some forward-looking statements, and I encourage everyone to review the customary cautionary language on this slide. Now, with that said, let's get into who we are and why niobium matters. So NioBay was founded in 1954, originally listed on the Montreal Stock Exchange, and today we're focused on advancing critical minerals that are essential to modern infrastructure and decarbonization. Now, we're not some new trendy critical minerals company. We're not some concept stage explorer. We have multiple NI 43-101 compliant resources, we have positive PEAs, and we have assets that are located in Tier 1 jurisdictions. So strategically, we are positioned at the intersection of steel strengthening, electrification, advanced electronics, and batteries. And these are markets that are growing structurally, not cyclically. So we're also backed by really strong partners. With a major asset in Quebec, we have the incredible support of the Quebec government. And some of you may have heard the extended OTCQB group, which is also a major shareholder and also represented at the board level. Speaking of the board, one of NioBay's real strength is its people. Our board combines deep technical mining experience, capital markets expertise, and governance leadership. We have Jean-Sébastien David, Serge Savard, Josiane Baudret, Lawrence Farmer, and Bruna Di Battista, who recently joined, as well as Raymond Legault. On the technical advisory side, we benefit from specialists in metallurgy, indigenous relations, and project development. These people play a critical role in assuring that we can develop these projects responsibly with the support of indigenous communities, as well as so that the final product that we are able to deliver to off-takers is as best and as high quality as possible with the advanced metallurgical expertise. Now, this depth of people matters a lot to us because it's what's going to allow us to move these projects forward responsibly and in collaboration with the communities. Now, let's address the importance of niobium, because niobium is one of those metals that most people don't really hear about or may have heard of, but don't truly understand. Niobium quietly improves almost everything it touches. Here's what I mean by that. In steel, just adding a small amount of niobium, less than 1%, can increase its strength by over 30%. Now, this enables lighter structures, whether it's a car or a bridge, and therefore lower CO2 emissions and less capital expenditure to develop these things. That's why we're starting to see it used widely in bridges, pipelines, vehicles. Wherever steel is required, we can now use less steel for the same structural strength. Niobium is also becoming increasingly important in energy storage. And here's why. Niobium-based battery anodes allow lithium ions to move much faster than traditional graphite. What this means is that we're now enabling ultra-fast charging, improved safety, and an extremely longer life cycle. In some cases, in comparison to graphite, we're seeing tens of thousands of cycles stronger. So really revolutionizing kind of batteries in a way as well. We can then also talk about them in superconductors. Niobium-based alloys carry electricity with almost zero resistance, which allows very high current densities without any energy loss. Again, essential for more advanced technologies like MRI scanners and high-field magnets. So simply put, niobium makes systems stronger, faster, safer, and more efficient, which the demand for continues to grow. Now let's talk about NioBay's role in this niobium supply chain. Today, the niobium supply chain is highly concentrated. We're looking at only 3 existing assets in the world and a majority dependency on China and Africa. What NioBay is doing is offering an alternative. NioBay is a North American ESG-driven source of niobium oxide located in Tier 1 jurisdictions and supported by strong local partnerships. Now, the key word here as well is niobium oxide. We see in this table here the kind of 3-step in the supply chain. NioBay is interested in more than just providing the raw material. We're interested in assuring that we can provide the end user, the battery manufacturer, the oxides, and the battery grade chemicals that it needs in order to produce the batteries. And so we're really trying to allow higher margins for us and vertical integration by working with these incredible battery manufacturers and selling directly to them as off-takers. Now, I do also need to mention tantalum very quickly, because in addition to niobium, our assets do provide us exposure to tantalum. Now, tantalum metal is one of the hardest known materials, and so its applications really vary from aerospace to electronics in high reliability components, but it's also essential for capacitors in electronics. So again, this green critical mineral. And like niobium, it's difficult to substitute and it's strategically important, which makes it a valuable byproduct in our portfolio, which we're happy to have. I will now talk about our assets. So we currently control 3 core assets, which are all located in Tier 1 jurisdictions. We've got our main project right now, James Bay Niobium in Ontario, providing niobium oxide. We've got our Crevier asset in Quebec, focused on niobium and tantalum. And lastly, we have the Foothills project, which we recently acquired, offering us a nice bit of titanium and phosphate exposure as well. Now, each project serves a different role in the portfolio, from advanced development to real exploration upside. But again, it goes back to this idea that we want to become a key player in the Canadian critical metal supply chain. So let's start with James Bay Niobium. This is becoming our flagship asset. It's located in northern Ontario, only 42 kilometers south of Moosonee, in the James Bay lowlands, as you guys will see on the map right here. The process hosts a very high quality resource, which we were able to determine through a very positive PEA in 2020. But it does remain extremely underexplored at depth. We stopped drilling there in 2022 and are very excited to be able to come back now in the winter of 2025 with our exploration permits having been granted by the Ontario government in Quebec in October, and so we're excited to be going back up there, and I will be talking about that quite shortly. But again, James Bay Niobium, we see this becoming maybe the 4th niobium mine in the world. And so we're going up there as soon as possible to continue to determine the upside as well, and to work in collaboration with the Moose Cree First Nation, who we have a protection agreement with in place to further advance the exploration of this project. Now, if we look briefly at the PEA summary, what it demonstrates is both scale and significant impact at James Bay. We're looking at a potential of 23 to 30-year mine life, over $7 billion in GDP impact, and hundreds of well-paid jobs. So from a government perspective, this project delivers meaningful tax revenue and direct benefits to the Moose Cree First Nation. And on our end as well, there is a high potential to extend the mine life. So overall, a very, very positive PEA, which we're excited to now further contribute to with our 2025 exploration program. So like I said, in October, we received a new 3-year exploration permit from the Ontario government, which allows us to resume the drilling that was paused in 2022. We've got about 10,000 meters of drilling planned. But most importantly, this program was designed with the Moose Cree feedback at its core. So what does that mean? It means that we're redesigning the way we used to operate so that we can work more closely with the Moose Cree. So this means that we're moving our drill locations a little bit further away from what's called South Bluff Creek, a very important area. We're then adding significant measures to reduce noise impacts on wildlife. We're then committed to being fully responsible for the entirety removal of any sort of drilling mud that's created. We're then agreeing to work in the winter so that we can minimize ground disturbances. And we couldn't emphasize this enough, but we really are trying to maximize local labor as much as possible, working with different parliaments of the Ontario government to find ways around this as well. And so, operationally speaking, this is going to be a helicopter supported drilling program. We have really strict and environment controls that have been proven in past campaigns, and we continue to work with environmental engineering firms that have been with us and been in Ontario for many, many, many years. And like I said, our mining lease does remain valid until October 2028. Now, to touch base a little bit more, again, on the community and the importance of sustainability for us at James Bay Niobium, this is how we move the project forward. You see, we're maintaining open to ongoing dialogue with them. They know that we're happy to talk and answer questions at any point. We redesigned the program based on their feedback, and we're working very closely with them to, like I said, prioritize local labor. With Serge Savard on the board, we're also happy to help support community initiatives, including minor hockey, as we continue to really contribute to this relationship, which is going to be foundational to the project's success. Now, moving over to Crevier, our asset in Quebec. We're talking about 50 kilometers north of Girardville, which you will see identified by the star on the map right here. We're really in a tier 1 mining jurisdiction and region once again. What's nice about Crevier is that it offers us this high-value niobium, but also tantalum resource with a really strong metallurgy and an existing PEA on it as well. Some highlights of the value resource over here. We're looking at about 25 million tons at 0.2% niobium oxide. So very, very appealing PEA results. We just spent the summer of 2025 completing a very successful summer program there, where we were able to confirm mineralization over more than 6 kilometers, and we were able to collect a 140-ton bulk sample, a significant increase from our last one that was only about 10 tons. Now, this really positions Crevier well for advanced testing and partnership discussions. Like I said at the beginning, we want to make sure that the products that we're providing to our off-takers is exactly what they need. And so we're working very closely on testing with universities to really define the exact value and product that we can offer these off-takers. On the community and sustainability side at Crevier, we have collaboration agreements signed with the First Nation over there. We maintain active dialogue with the community of Girardville. We participate in regional economic committees. We're quite engaged there locally, which again is a key part of our business model. What's nice about Crevier as well is that environmentally, we're actually able to offset the emissions that come as a result of our exploration program through Carbon Boreal, which is a Quebec-based tree planting program. Just really to reemphasize what our long-term development goals are and to emphasize that it fits with those of this particular region. Our last asset is Foothills, which we recently acquired in 2024. So it's a new addition to our portfolio, giving us a really nice titanium and phosphate exposure. We've got quite fascinating mineralization here, which is extremely significant. We're in an excellent location. We've got great road infrastructure, and we could really see this scaling quite nicely. So right now we've got about an undivided 80% interest. So it's a definitive option agreement with Vior. Like I said, it's located near deep water ports. It hosts the titanium and phosphate mineralizations that we are hoping to add to our growing portfolio of critical metal assets here in Quebec and in Ontario. And so that kind of summarizes our three main assets at the moment: James Bay niobium, then we've got Crevier, and the Foothills titanium and phosphate project. So if we kind of take a step back and look at our broader corporate profile, this week has been really, really exciting. We just upsized our brokered private placement from $5 million to $7.5 million after it filled up in just 2 hours. So this really reflects strong investor interest and confidence in our strategy. I spoke a lot about sustainability. I spoke a lot about our relationships with the First Nations communities over there. That is how you build and develop a successful mining project in Quebec and Ontario in 2025. And this is what people are realizing about NioBay. This is an essential part of our business plan. Our vision is really to become a critical mineral leader for Canada at every stage of the development. So not just the raw materials, but we want to help provide the battery manufacturers with an offtake product that they can directly integrate into their batteries. As you guys know, and as I may have said, niobium, tantalum, titanium, these are all critical minerals recognized in Canada, in the US, in Europe, and the demand for these will only continue to rise. Now, for those of you that may be wondering if it helps beyond just this energy transition, well, the simple dollars that can be saved by adding niobium to your steel is so significant that we really imagine a significant increase in niobium demand over the next couple of years beyond just for the batteries that we are trying to build and optimize. So if we look at our priorities for 2025, it's pretty clear. We have our exploration permits for James Bay. We're preparing to return to the field under this new permit. The reason why Jean-Sébastien, the CEO, is not presenting today is because he himself is actually in Moosonee at the moment. At Crevier, we're advancing customer samples, metallurgical work, and partnership discussions with our bulk sample that we recently acquired. And lastly, at Foothills, we're continuing that exploration, continuing to further understand the mineralization in particular zones. And lastly, I want to emphasize that we want to be a leader in critical metals in Quebec and Ontario. And so we are really open to any sort of opportunities, any sort of assets with Foothills that we recently acquired to continue to propel this vision forward that we have for NioBay. And so lastly, to conclude, NioBay, we're offering exposure to critical metals with real assets, real studies, and a real strong team and partnerships to come. We've combined more advanced projects with earlier exploration stage project. We have a very strong ESG foundation, and we're really looking to leverage the long-term structural demand for these metals. So thank you all for your time. I'm happy to take some questions. Any questions that I can answer, please feel free to reach out to our team. Jean-Sébastien's contact is here on the slide. And I look forward to developing this project and hope you guys enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We do have some questions for you. Braden asks, are steel manufacturers purchasing niobium, or is it added at a later date?
A little bit of both. So we're not currently talking to steel manufacturers directly, but that's definitely something in the pipeline that we would be open to. Niobium is added not at the initial steel manufacturing, a little further in the process. I don't have all the technicals on hand, but we definitely do see a future where steel manufacturers are acquiring niobium directly.
And Caleb asks, what would constitute a tier 1 jurisdiction?
The way we see it on the different mining journals that exist and whatnot, Quebec and Ontario, because of their access to infrastructure, to electricity with hydro, because of how developed and willing the government of Quebec, Canada, Ontario are at accelerating the development of these assets, they're what we call tier 1 jurisdictions.
Perfect. And Adam asks, is James Bay a wholly owned entity of NioBay?
Absolutely.
Great. And Brian wants to know, when do you expect to resume drilling?
Is this for a particular asset or is this general? I'm assuming it might be for James Bay.
Yeah, maybe break it down, whichever
Yeah.
ones you have in the pipeline.
Yeah, so we just finished our summer drilling campaign at Crevier. We're continuing to analyze that in the coming months. Hope to be back drilling there very soon. Like I said, in October, just a month and a little bit ago, we received our permits for James Bay niobium. We're hoping to start that in the new year as soon as possible, finalizing some logistics, trying to work with local groups over there to help with the work, which is a big priority for us. But really, as soon as we can get up there in the new year, we want to start drilling.
And Junior asks, are you at least starting development on all of these 3 projects?
Are we at least starting
I
development?
know
I
that
mean,
was
the goal is to scale all of these projects. You know, as a small junior, we have to prioritize some at a, right now. And right now, James Bay is kind of our priority. But the reason why we acquired Foothills, the reason why we're keeping Crevier is because we have a long-term vision for all of these assets.
And you mentioned partners. At which point are you looking to take on partners? And do you have any in mind?
Um, if this is more from an offtake side of things, then we are working with a handful of partners. I don't think I can disclose those at the moment. And then from an asset perspective, we're always open to kind of acquiring more assets, seeing what's out there. And so that's kind of why we put that out there.
Jim says, taking into fact the location and any indigenous factors, do you know what the margins after tax will be in production?
I'm sure there's a better, if we pull up the PEA slide over here, we look at the different provincial mining taxes, the mining tax we give to the First Nations over there. And, that's a calculation that can be made. If you want to reach out, we can further chat into how that comes into play.
Tom asks, do you have any offtake agreement in place?
Nothing is signed at the moment, I believe.
And Chris wants to know, what is how is this technology replacing technology? Is there a current solution in chips or wafers, for example, that's an inferior product, the niobium?
Yeah, I mean, if we just look at lithium batteries at the moment, the majority. So if we look at lithium batteries at the moment, the majority of lithium batteries are made out of graphite. So that's kind of your traditional lithium-ion battery. What a niobium-based battery does is it replaces graphite with niobium, which is what enables this ultra-fast charging, longer life cycle, improved safety, and whatnot. So it is a replacement to the current lithium-ion battery, which is composed of mostly graphite.
Great, perfect. Well, Ludovick, do you have any closing remarks for our viewers today?
No, feel free to reach out with any further questions. We're always happy to talk and answer questions. So thank you so much for having us today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we'll be right back.